cover, just great color photos. Well, one of them is Grace Ping from Winona Cotter, who's back this year, but the family moved to Arizona. And somebody was mad that she was on the cover. And I explained, I answered the tweet. I said, here's the deal. It's a long tradition. These cover photos are always from a year before. And in cross country, the 4 individual champions go on the cover. I think somebody was mad that they must have felt betrayed that a top athlete had actually moved, the family had actually moved to another state. How dare
they would have been really mad at me. Well, I moved like every 2 years when I was a kid. Of course, I wasn't a great athlete, so nobody got mad.
That's right. That's right. So I don't know if Grace and her family have heard about this raging controversy in Minnesota, but I'm always amazed at things people get upset about. Just if there's somebody is feeling betrayal that they moved, I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, so we got football going on, soccer season wrapping up today. Got a week here until the state volleyball tournament. That'll be next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, November 7th, 8th, and 9th at the XL Center. So we've got section finals in volleyball going on right now. The state tournament teams will all be determined by Saturday night, and then I believe Sunday the seedings and the brackets will come out. And that's a riot. That's going to be fun. And I will miss a round of football at that point because I'm going to see my last outdoor football game here Friday night. I'm going to go see Apple Valley at St. Thomas Academy in a section final, then head to cross country on Saturday. So next week I'll be indoors at the fabulous XL Center for 3 days of volleyball, missing out on the state quarterfinals in football, which are outdoors. And the fact that they're outdoors and the fact that I'm going to be indoors during those games, that's not a problem for me. I'm okay with missing around in football. I can be indoors watching great volleyball.
Oh, no question about it. Volleyball is one of the most exciting sports there is, too.
It really is. I always tell people if you've never seen good volleyball, like even the Gophers, that's the best.
They're great.
But these top high school teams, holy moly, is that fun? These are just great athletes. So much fun. The sport moves so fast, and it's easy to understand if you haven't watched much of it. It's a blast. So I always really look forward to the state volleyball tournament.
Absolutely. Let's do some quick hits. Want to remind you that, of course, if you're in the Princeton area or driving north or south on 169, you want to go to Pizza Barn Princeton. If you're at pretty much anywhere else, you can get deals at Bitesquad. We have a promo code TALKNORTH that will get your first delivery fee waived. But go to Bitesquad.com. They seem to have different promotions, different deals all the time. Upload your information to the Bitesquad app. Use the Bitesquad app, and it just makes ordering lunch, breakfast, dinner, late night snacks, ice cream, whatever you want, really easy. Bitesquad.com, Bitesquad, the app. And again, our promo code is TALKNORTH, but you might even find a better deal if you just go to Bitesquad.com. Sports reporter job opening. What are we talking about here?
Well, when's the last time we heard those words? Job opening for a sports writer down at the Rochester Post-Bulletin. They have a job opening for a sports reporter. And Jason Feldman, who I don't know if his title's sports editor or sports manager down there, he tweeted this out this week. For the first time in close to 15 years, they have an opening in the Rochester Post-Bulletin sports department for a full-time reporter. That's fantastic. And it's funny how some of these outstate papers really, despite the status of journalism in America, and most of these, the Post-Bulletin is newly owned by the Forum Company, which is the Fargo Forum and the Duluth paper, and lots of outstate papers. So they're doing well. They're hiring. Our friend Tom Elliott, who left the St. Cloud Times after about 30 years for the West Central Tribune in Wilmer, that gives them 3 full-time preps reporters, which is great for a smaller daily paper. So I think we're not doing too bad in Minnesota. These kids deserve a lot of coverage. It's great to see that commitment from these newspapers to add staff as far as prep sports. So that's very encouraging for people in our business.
Oh man, I'm happy anytime any newspaper of any size anywhere hires. And yep. And we love sports and we love high school sports and everything else, but it's still, newspapers are still the best source of local news. They're still the only places that will tell you that the city council member is stealing money from the city. it's important in so many ways, and
Sure.
and having people who actually go out in the community and tell people stories, again, whether it's sports or non-sports, absolutely vital. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, you bet. And the Star Tribune, where you've worked for so long and where I spent 20 years, is healthy. I see hires in various departments of the newsroom pretty regularly there. So, thank God for Glenn Taylor. That's all I have to say.
Oh, absolutely.
Star Tribune is one of the strongest newspapers in the country.
It's true, and I don't know exactly where we'd be without Glenn. I do know that as you know, I haven't always gotten along real well with Glenn, but I certainly as someone who's civic minded and puts his money where his heart is, I certainly appreciate him.
Yeah, and we both remember the dark days. There were times where we didn't know who owned the paper.
No,
all these equity companies were basically flipping it every so often, and we didn't know who was in charge. It's nice to know. Basically a local guy who's running the show. No
question about it. What do you want to get to next? Winter sports?
Yeah, winter sports. We are right on they've already started. Dance teams have already been practicing this is their second week. The girls' hockey season started this week with practice. So on Thursday, November 7th, that's the first day of this year we can see high school hockey games. That's the first date. If girls' hockey teams want to play on game night 1, Thursday, November 7th, that's the night. So holy mackerel, here we are. It's Halloween as we're talking. So we're on the cusp of November, and winter sports are rolling. It won't be long till wrestling, basketball, boys hockey, everything will be up and moving.
And let's get to one of my favorite features. A great idea by you to do this on a weekly basis. Thank a ref.
Yeah, this one was really cool, Jim. So I was at this Rosemount White Bear Lake football game at Burnsville, and late in the first quarter, one of the officials, the umpire, is the official who stands basically in the middle of the linebackers. There was kind of a twisting, ziggy-zaggy long run by one of the teams, and he just got blindsided. He didn't see the player coming. The player didn't see the referee, and I think it might have been a concussion situation. He went down hard. They got him up, and he slowly walked to the bench. So, on these high school officials, there isn't an alternate official there. There isn't somebody else, like in the NFL or even Division I, So they go with 4 officials. High school football only has a 5-man crew, whereas colleges and the NFL, they have 7. So you got 4 guys out there. They adjust their mechanics. This was a veteran crew, and somebody made a phone call to an official who had the night off. I don't know who that was or how far, but at some point in the third quarter, I think late in the third quarter, I look out there and suddenly there's 5 officials again. And I was on the sideline and I said, did the official come back? Was he okay? And they said, no, somebody got a phone call and I got out of their recliner and put the stripes on and came over. So way to go, officials. That was, I don't know that I've ever seen that before, but that's, for 4 of them to continue the game. And if people weren't paying attention, they would never know that the officiating crew was a man down, basically, fending off the power play, but really great commitment. And then, the game was officiated very well. Nobody was complaining about anything, and just tremendous commitment by that crew.
Cool. Good stuff. Let's thank a coach now.
Yeah, well, thank a coach. This is a young coach. He's not even 30 years old yet. I've spent some time with the last couple of years down at Wyndham. Travis Martin has been the head coach for a couple of years. Really brought life to that program. Didn't win a game last year. I rode the bus with the team to a game in Jackson where they got their butts kicked pretty good. But just spending time around a young coach in that situation, I was super, super impressed by what he saw. And now this year they did win a couple games. They got their first one on the road. They finally got one at home. But Travis is from North Dakota, as is his wife, and she got a job back in their hometown in Grand Forks. So he did resign as a football coach and a teacher in Wyndham. And they're going to miss him. And I was texting him the night I heard about this. I just told him, I said, to me, he's like the perfect template for a young coach and how to work with teams, when there's challenges. And the number of kids on the team was way up this year. They had 60 uniforms and they filled every one of them. So they're in good hands, but they're going to miss him. And I tweeted out that some school in North Dakota is going to hire a talented young coach. So all the best to Travis Martin, who did a great job at Wyndham.
Yeah, I've enjoyed you talking about him over the years. Let's wrap it up with the mascot of the week. Again, thank you to Brandon Morton, our producer. Follow us at Talk North Pod. Check out all the shows we have at talknorth.com or subscribe at your favorite podcast app. And Also, thank you to pizzabarnprinceton.com. Mascot of the week.
Yeah, this is good, Jim. The Minneapolis Washburn Millers played here in the state soccer semifinals on the boys' side. Ended up finishing fourth in Class 2A, and they're the Millers. So what's a Miller? It's not a Malay, it's a Miller, and it's based on Minneapolis history, as a grain, as a milling town. And so the mascot is like a tough guy wearing an apron and a baker's hat. And as they were playing here the other day, I Googled Washburn Miller's logo, and I found a really nice image and tweeted it and said, this is just one of the greatest mascots and logos in all of sports. There's nothing like it. Have you ever seen a mascot that's wearing a big, tall, white baker's hat and an apron?
I never have.
Clutching like, grain in one hand and a fist in the other. I don't know. But it just kind of struck me. This is really cool. And Washburn's one of those schools we don't hear about a lot as far as teams advancing deep into state tournaments, but it's a good soccer school. And they've had great football teams over the years and great football players. Hats off to the Bakers, the Millers of Minneapolis, Washburn.
Good stuff. Great stuff as always, John. Appreciate you doing the show as you're putting in another long day. I know how hard you work and how many hours you work. Putting another long day this time at the the US Bank Stadium and the soccer tournament. And again, next week we'll have a lot to talk about. We'll try to do it in person. And thanks to all of our listeners. We do appreciate it. Any final thoughts, John?
Nope. Just it's a beautiful day at US Bank Stadium, and I'm going to have to bundle up here if I'm going to go to some outdoor cross country. But that's okay. I'm ready to stretch my legs. This soccer coverage is not really that difficult. I'm sitting in a comfortable chair in the press box. There's food and drinks. And it's not bad. It's not bad. I like to complain. I can't complain about this.
And if you're at a state tournament or a cross-country meet or anything else, just look for John's branded car and say hello if you get a chance.
You bet. I love to meet people. I love to meet Twitter people in human form. That's what I usually say.
Twitter people are usually better in human form. That's the good thing.
Well, I have kind of a running line when somebody introduces them to me, and yeah, you John? Yeah. Oh, I love your Twitter feed. I love what you do. You have so much fun. And then my response is basically, well, I apologize that now you've met me in person. It can be nothing but a letdown. I'm sorry about that, but you look at me, this is all I got. So if you'd rather just converse with the Twitter me, I understand.
I think the only people face to face is even better. So I won't accept your self denigration.
Okay, I will still self denigrate as much as I can.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Jim.